Well, here's a story from the Apter Rav Rebbe Heschel of Aft. um, Rabbi Heschel of Aft, this was about 100 years ago. So he was sitting learning Torah in the middle of the night, late at night, and suddenly there was a knock at his door, 2 in the morning. Didn't know who it could possibly be. He looked in the little peephole, and he saw that there was a Jew standing outside. Opened the door. The Jew looked like a Jew came in, looked like he hadn't slept for who knows how long. His clothes were all disheveled. His face was all worried. Can I help you? He said, my wife has been in labor, giving birth for already more than 2 days, and the baby doesn't come out. The doctors don't know what to do. No, she's so weak that they're afraid to do a cesarean, and they think that if they do a cesarean birth, that maybe she and the baby will both die. They don't know what. But on the other hand, they're afraid to leave her this way. And please just tell me what to do. I ran here all the way from the hospital. Please help me. We took a carriage, whatever, from the hospital. Tell me what to do. So the Rebbe of Abt, he went to his table, sat down, and put his head down on the table. Put his head down like this, and he was there for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. So the man didn't understand what was. Maybe did he fall asleep? Was if he was waiting to hear a snore or something like that. He didn't know. Should he wake up the rabbi? Should he? After about almost 10 minutes, he said, "Mazel tov, your wife just had a baby boy." So he said, "I can't believe it. Thank you." He ran back to the hospital. And sure enough, that's what it was. It was a baby boy. But the woman was so weak that she didn't last long after the birth, and she passed away. And when the child was just young, maybe 3, 4 years old, his father passed away also. So the other family members of the family, the brother or the sister of his mother and father, his uncles, aunts, they took him into the house. But he was sort of not a very intelligent child, and he really didn't get along. They couldn't really find anything particular for what to do. He couldn't sit and learn. He just didn't in school, so they didn't know what to do. So they passed him from one family to another, until finally, somehow or other, he ended up in the yeshiva, right? So the rabbi blessed him, and now we're talking about 16 years something after this blessing. So the child grew up, and he somehow or other managed to come into the yeshiva of this after Rav. He came to the yeshiva. He came there and he just sat there. He really didn't know how to learn, but the boys were nice to him. They would sit and learn with him and tell him ideas, stories, whatever it was, and he would do like little odd jobs around. And finally, because he was wandering around, so they drafted into the army. He was taken into the army. He was taken into the army, and the boys, it was a base, an army base nearby, and the boys went in to visit him, and they would visit him like once a week, and then the army base moved, and so it was a long ride to go there. It was like a day, 2 days to go. So they would visit him, once a month, twice a month, whatever it was, and he would write letters. Eventually, the visits became very difficult, and the letters became more sparse, for a few and far between. They would receive a letter like once every other month, and then the letters stopped coming. Letters stopped coming. So after a few months, they wondered what happened, and they made a special trip over to the camp to what happened, and they asked what was, and nobody wanted to tell them. And one of the other soldiers, a Jew, said, "Well, the story is like this. He was very simple, but they wanted him in the army. They wanted him to eat not kosher food, and he refused. And they wanted him to work on Shabbat, and he did so, but only when they really forced him. And they wanted him to come and pray in the church with them. They had to pray together, and he didn't do it. So they beat him. They beat him, and every day they would beat him and he kept refusing and refusing. He was not going to eat not kosher food. Of course, that made him weaker and weaker, and he refused to go to the church. That made him very angry, and finally they beat him, and he died. And that's what happened. So the young men went back to the Rebbe, and they said, "We got bad news. That young boy who came with us, that you gave the blessing, that he was born. He was with us for a while. He died." So the Rebbe said, "That's exactly what happened." He said the father came in and because his wife didn't, it was having trouble giving birth. It was because the soul of that child did not want to come into the world, because the soul saw that it was going to be tested, and that it was going to be in this world, that it would be forced to leave Judaism, to deny God, and it didn't want to come into the world. It knew it wouldn't stand. So I prayed that the child should have the power to withstand all of the threats and the tortures that he was given, and that he would hold on to his Judaism until the last moment. And that's why I prayed. I took 10 minutes to pray, and the soul agreed that it would come into this world if it would be assured that it would not leave Judaism. That's why it took me so long to pray and to assure that the child would be born and come into the world. So it's a tragic story on one hand, but on the other hand, if we look at the world from the viewpoint of God, and namely that the reason we're put into this world is for a purpose to make this terrible, awful world into a meaningful place. So sometimes by putting meaning, but what is the world? The world forces us to do things, to leave our principles, to leave our what our conscience says, to leave what's right, the world. And our job is to make a dwelling in the world, which means sometimes we have to defy the evil and the forces and the pressures of the world until the very end. And that's what the point of the story was, that self-sacrifice is the essence of Judaism. No one wants it. No one wants it. Abraham also didn't want it, but that's what made Judaism. The 10 examples, challenges that brought Abraham, that Abraham only passed these challenges by means of his self-sacrifice.